Hey everyone, welcome back to my podcast and to my YouTube channel. I am really excited to have everyone here. So I've taken about a week off with Christmas and everything so I could enjoy some time with my kids. It was a lovely Christmas. So I hope everybody else also had a great Christmas. So this morning I woke up and I had an image in my head, and I knew immediately that I wanted to do an episode on this image and how it relates to our life. Before I get started, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Adelle Skinner. I'm a feminine energy and inner work coach. So I get questions off and on about what is a feminine energy coach and what is inner work. Like, what are those things? So let me just really quickly, if you don't know what that is, let me explain it really quickly. We as women were gifted with feminine energy. It is our divine blueprint. So when our heavenly parents created us, they created men and women, and we are equal, but we are not equivalent. We each came to this earth with incredible gifts and natural abilities that when put together, they form perfection. So women, we were given feminine energy. It is how we show up in the world. Women are very, very gifted at just naturally being more nurturing and giving. And we're also very in tune to the people around us and to our own bodies. We are beings of feeling. We feel things, and that is our gift and that is our ability. And there are so many more incredible things about being a woman. We're very magnetic. We're able to just give life just by being a woman. Isn't that the coolest thing? That women are the life bringers. And that is a gift and a blessing that we have been gifted with. But unfortunately, in this world that we live in and through circumstances that we have experienced, traumas, abuse, whatever, we have learned we have felt the need to dim that light, to hold it down, to hide it. And so what I do is I help women remember and recognize and re-embody the divine feminine that they are, and to start showing up in their power and their glory as queens of our heavenly parents. So I love that. When we as women start to recognize our inherent gifts and blessings and the way that we were meant to show up in this world, it helps us so much. It helps us to reconnect with ourselves. It helps us to connect better with the world around us. It helps us to show up as the highest version of ourselves, the version that we look at and we admire in ourselves. So when we are in our feminine energy, we can't help but just exude so much love and acceptance because we are loving and accepting ourselves. And then inner work are things that we do, tools that we use to become that higher version of ourselves. All of us, we came to this earth with a desire to grow and to become better. All of us. That's in our genetic blueprint. That was how we were created. That's how our spirits want us to be, is we want to progress and grow. And so inner work is the actual actions that we take to become that higher version of ourselves. It's the tools that we use, whether it's using mind work, journaling, really digging deep and finding what is it that I'm triggered by? What are these triggers, and how can I show up as the best version of myself and heal that? So I have the best job. I love what I do. I am able to teach and help women access their highest version of themselves so that they show up with so much authenticity, so much love, and so much power. That they stop saying yes to the things that hurt them or the things that don't align to them. And they start saying yes only to those things that fill them up. That they gain that confidence within themselves to say no when they need to say no, and to say yes when they need to say yes, and to love themselves through the process and to love the woman that they are becoming. It is the best job ever. So let's get into this episode. So this morning, I woke up with the image of glass blowers or like glass artists. A couple of years ago, I was watching a video on Netflix, and I think it was like a competition where they had a bunch of glass artists or glass blowers, and they would come and they would create these different designs, and then they would judge them and, move up, and eventually there was one crowning victor of this glass blowing competition. So if any of you guys have never watched how glass is changed from the glass beads into these incredible sculptures, let me just really quickly break it down for you. So you start out with these little glass beads. There's all different colors. And you take these glass beads and you put them into a furnace that is like 1,000 degrees. I don't actually know, but I know it's super, super hot. So you put them into this furnace, and in the process of these glass beads going into the furnace, they get really hot and they melt and they turn into liquid glass. And with this, or once these glass beads have been changed into this liquid glass, then the sculptor is able to go in with tools and they can scoop up some of the glass, and then they can start to shape it. They can blow and create bubble type things and just do different shapes that they want to with this glass. But in order for this glass to be moldable, it needs to be able to meet a couple requirements. The glass beads must be of the highest quality. There can be no imperfections in the glass. If there is imperfections in the glass, then the glass will crack, or it will break, or it will not move, and it will not form the way it needs to. Or once it forms, it will not be able to hold its shape, and the whole project will be destroyed. So in order for these glass beads to be transformed into this sculpture, it has to go through a process of deep changing. These glass beads are beautiful as they are, but they were created so that this sculpture could become. So as these glass beads go through this process, they are shaped and they are formed into this, say, beautiful vase. Let's use that as an example. They're making a vase. So at first, this vase is completely unintelligible. You don't know what it is. It's just a blob of melted glass on the end of a long pole. And then the sculpture starts to form the shape of the vase. And then you can kind of start to see, okay, looks like it's going to be a vase. Well, the sculptor, once the vase is formed, the sculptor continues to keep that, the vase, he continues, or she continues to keep it in the fire so that it can stay at the temperature that it needs to be. This way you can add handles, you can add flowers, you can add different embellishments. But in order to add these different embellishments, this vase must continue to go into the furnace. This vase must continue to stay at this hot temperature so that it can be melded. It can be shaped in the way that it needs to be. If there are impurities in the glass, it will refuse to meld the way that it should. It will refuse to twist and turn and make the shapes that the artist is trying to create, and the whole project is compromised. So, can you guess how I'm going to make this or align this with how we as humans show up and how we can become what the master creator is wanting us to become? So just like these glass beads were created for the purpose of becoming a vase, they were never meant to stay as glass beads. As beautiful as they are, that was not their intended creation. That was not their intended design to stay that way. We are exactly the same way. We came to this earth to have experiences. We were never meant to stay in our glass bead form. We were meant to become a masterpiece. That is why we came. So just like these glass beads must be put into the furnace, must be changed, and must become bendable and workable, that is how we are. we are going to go through trauma. We are going to go through abuse. We are going to go through things. We're going to be put into this furnace, basically, and we're going to be forced to change. There is not a single human on this planet who has never experienced trauma. Not a single one. None of us are safe from being in the furnace. So we experience trauma basically on a daily level, or on a daily. We experienced trauma daily. And it's kind of on a spectrum. Over here is like you stub your toe, there was trauma there, whatever. And then on this side, there's immense abuse and you're experiencing trauma. Either way, you are experiencing trauma constantly. And if that's not enough, we also have what's called inherited trauma, where our grandparents or great-grandparents or our parents may have experienced something and it got passed down to us because it was never healed during their lifetime. So say, for example, you have a grandparent that experienced childhood abuse. Even though maybe you didn't experience childhood abuse, you may be showing up or exhibiting signs of someone who has experienced childhood abuse. And if you don't understand that some of your trauma is actually inherited, you may be very confused as to why you are the textbook example of someone who has experienced childhood trauma or childhood abuse when you've never really experienced that. So you can start to also look at, what have my ancestors experienced? Is there anybody that experienced this that I have inherited? And what do I want to do with that inherited trauma? It can start to feel like really overwhelming when you're like, okay, not only am I experiencing trauma on a daily basis, I'm also experiencing trauma from the past, like there's no way out. I promise you, there is. So we are all in this melting pot. We're all in the furnace. We are all in this state where we have the ability to become this incredible masterpiece that the artist is wanting us to become. Whether or not we choose to be shaped and formed into this masterpiece is up to us. Just like the glass has to be of the purest quality in order to be shaped and melded, we also have to be that way in our own minds and in our own feelings. So what does this mean? Every experience that you have experienced, you experienced it because you were supposed to. I believe that. Everything happens the way that it was supposed to happen, and we know that because that is how it happened. The experience happened. There's nothing that you can do about the experience that happened. The only thing that you can do is either you can stay in victim and say, I wish this didn't happen, I wish this didn't happen, I wish this didn't happen. Or you can choose to change the way you're thinking about it and say, okay, this happened. Now, how do I want to react? Who do I want to be? And how do I want to show up? The circumstance didn't change. The actual event that happened didn't change. You can't control whether or not that experience happened to you. But you do get to control whether or not you're going to stay over here in, I wish it didn't happen, I wish it didn't happen, I wish it didn't happen. Or, okay, this happened. What do I want to do with it? That is why I know that every experience happens because it was supposed to, because it did, is because we get to decide how we are going to take what we experienced and live from it. Do you see how if you stay over here in the I wish it didn't happen state, you are staying in victim mentality. That is the glass being impure. It's unable to be formed into anything. It's basically a useless piece of melted glass because you can't form it into anything. It must stay in this liquid form. It can't take shape because it's stuck in this unbending state. I wish it didn't happen. I wish it didn't happen. Okay, so you wish it didn't happen. But then what? You're going to stay in that form. You're going to stay in that hurt area. Or you can take it and you can say, okay, this happened. How do I want to show up now? If every experience that I am experiencing is for a reason, then how is this experience that I'm experiencing going to help me? I so firmly believe that we have the experiences that we need to have when we have them so that we can reach that higher level of ourselves. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with staying stuck in the I wish it didn't happen state, in the victim mentality. I'm not saying that that's wrong. I'm just saying look at how that is affecting the way that you are feeling and the way that you're showing up. And then look at okay, this experience happened. It was supposed to happen this way because it did happen. And if every experience I have is for a reason, then how do I want to take this and how do I want to grow from it? So I have definitely been in both of these. And like I said, I don't think one is better than the other. We have the experiences that we're supposed to have because we're supposed to have them. And that includes staying in victim mentality. There was a season of my life where I stayed in victim mentality. And I stayed there and I stayed there and I stayed there. And I'm not going to say that that was wrong because I definitely learned things in that state of victim mentality of how I wanted to show up, that I actually didn't want to stay there, that it didn't feel good, that no matter how much I blamed the circumstances that I was in, no matter how much I looked around and said, well, that's not fair, it didn't change the reality that I was living. It didn't change anything within myself. I needed that time to be able to decide, I don't like this. I don't want to stay in this anymore. I must change. There must be something different. And that's when I first heard that term, everything happens the way it is supposed to. And you know that it happened the way it was supposed to because it did. And everything that you experience is for a reason. That helped me go from, I wish my life was different, to how do I make my life different? If I want to be something different, if I want to go from here to here, how do I do that? What is it that I need to start doing to become that different person, to become that higher version of myself? And I realized that there is nothing that I can do to control the circumstances that are outside of me. The only thing that I can control is me. I only get to control my thoughts. I only get to control my actions and how I choose to show up. Everything else is completely out of my control. So when I was over here in victim mentality, I was trying so hard to manipulate and to change the circumstances so that I could feel safe, so that I could feel loved and valued, because it wasn't fair that I wasn't being loved and valued, that I wasn't being treated right. And so I was trying to change everything around me so that other people could see me as valuable and worth protecting and worth loving. But I was missing the key point, that even though I was in a way changing myself to try to conform to what they were saying or wanted me to be, I wasn't actually taking accountability for me, for my thoughts and for my actions. I was doing everything for the outside to try to control the outside. And that kept me stuck, because no matter what you do, you cannot control other people. Other people are going to love you and other people are going to hate you, and it's going to have nothing to do with you. Nothing to do with you. It is going to be their experience based on their traumas, based on how they see you. And it's going to have nothing to do with you. And so when you can get out of that, it's not fair, or I wish it didn't happen, and you can pull yourself into, okay, this is happening. This is what's going on. Who do I want to be? And how do I want to show up? This is you purifying those glass beads and allowing yourself to now be moldable by the Creator. It would be like us trying to control the outside circumstances is like those glass beads reaching out and trying to control the shape that the master creator is trying to create. That's not there. It's not possible. They literally cannot do it. And it's the same with us. We literally cannot, no way, no how, control outside sources, outside circumstances. We can't control how people treat us. We can't control what people think of us. We can't control the circumstances that we're experiencing. The only thing we can control is ourselves and how we choose to show up. And if you want the master creator to create something magnificent out of you, you must allow him to form you. You must allow him to create you. So when we do this, we are basically letting our master creator know that we are willing to submit to whatever it is he's wanting for us, whatever it is he is wanting to help us to become. So if we cannot control the outside sources, if we cannot control the outside circumstances around us, then we have to be able to give up control to a higher person than us. And that comes from having the foundational faith and trust and belief that God is the one who is going to protect you. He is the one that is going to create the masterpiece that you have the ability to become. So that is the basis. If you are wanting to reach that higher level of yourself, you have to believe that there is a God that is going to help you become that better version of yourself. He's the one that's going to say, all right, you focus on what you have going on. Let me take care of the rest. You cannot reach that higher level of yourself if you are constantly trying to control the outside sources. You cannot. You must first give up control. And that can be so scary. So scary. But I promise you, once you believe and once you have that faith and once you have the evidence that when you give up control, God is going to have your back. If you don't know that God is protecting you and if he is going to be there and he's going to help you, then the thing that you need to do is you need to start looking for evidence. So this can look like looking in the scriptures for evidence of times that God has protected the people who submit to him. Look at the story of Ruth. A couple of months ago, I did a 4-part series on Ruth. So if you haven't yet, I would highly recommend that you go and you check that out because I show you how when Ruth was willing to submit to God, when Ruth was willing to do the things that she felt like she should do, everything fell into place for her. When she let go of controlling everything outside of her and only focused on what she was responsible for and how she chose to show up, she was blessed in ways that were beyond her wildest imagination. So blessed. Also, look at the story of Esther. Just right before this episode, I was doing my scripture study and I was studying the story of Esther. That is also another powerful example of when you let go of control, you step into this incredible opportunity that God has for you where he says, hey, I've got you. I will help you. I will lead you. So in the story of Esther, I thought it was really interesting too, because here she is, this queen, and Mordecai comes to her and he says, our people are going to be destroyed. We need you to go to the king and we need you to beg him to change this, to protect our people. And she's like, I can't go to the king. He's going to kill me if I show up without him summoning me. And Mordecai says something that I thought was so interesting. He was like, do you really think that you can be safe here hiding behind your crown? that you think that you're safe just because you are in the palace, that you will be protected, that you will be spared. And I thought, oh my gosh, I love that. Because how many times do we try to hide ourselves because we think that that is what is going to keep ourselves safe? We don't want to do those uncomfortable things because we think that staying small and hiding and pretending that that when we conform to what other people think that we should do, we think that that is keeping us safe. And I think that Esther realized that as well, because she comes back and she was like, all right, this is what I'm going to do. You're right. Just because I'm in the palace, just because I'm the queen, does not mean that I am safe. The last queen was just dethroned because she refused to come into the king. And here she thinks, well, if I just don't say anything, or if nobody knows that I'm a Jew, then I will be protected. That's not always the case. And so she let go of trying to protect herself. She was trying to control whether or not she was safe. And when she let go of controlling something that she had no control over anyways, and when she stepped into her feminine power, into what she felt like she should do, remember, feminine women, we are beings of feeling. We go with what we feel we should do. And she asked herself, she said, who do I want to be? Who is this higher version of myself that I want to be? I want to be a queen that makes a difference, that saves her people. And if I can't do that, then either whether I die or whether I live, it doesn't matter. I need to become this higher version of myself. And so she does. And what does God do? He takes the thing that she couldn't control anyways, that she never had control of, and he takes it from her so that she gives it to him so she doesn't have to worry about it. She focuses on what she can control, and she moves forward with what she feels is right. And here she was, a queen that originally was not allowed to go to the king unless he summoned her. It was like she was just a pretend queen. She was just there to look pretty with a crown on. She had no power. But this is the coolest thing. When she stepped into that feminine power that we are all gifted with, when she stopped trying to control what was around her, and when she started connecting with herself and saying, who do I want to be? Who do I want to show up as? And then she started acting in that way. When she went to the king, 3 times he told her, he said, I will give you whatever you want, up to half of my kingdom. Do you guys realize how massive this king's kingdom was? He had so much power, so much power. And here he is. He has no idea what Esther wants. But because she has now embodied this higher version of herself, she's let go of trying to control things around her that she had no power over anyways. She connected with herself. She stepped into that feminine blueprint that she always was. And then when she went to the king in that attitude, with that type of energy around her of, I am doing what I feel is right because I want to be this bigger, higher, better version of myself, regardless of the cost. She let go of the cost. She let go of worrying what other people thought of her, and she stepped into her magnificence. And when she did, that is when she became his queen. Because then it's almost like he couldn't help himself. He was like, Esther, what do you want? I will give you half of my kingdom. Just whatever you want, I will give it to you. So when we let go of that fear, or the fear, and then just that victim mentality of, I wish it didn't happen, or I wish things were different. When we let go of that and we start saying, all right, God, these are the circumstances that I have been given. This is what I'm in. This is what's going on. This is how I want to show up. I want to reach for that higher level of myself. What is it that you need me to do? How is it that you want me to show up? I'm going to let go of the control that I never had anyways. When we do that, the master creator is able to create something that we never envisioned possible. I don't think Esther ever envisioned that she would have the power that she had when she was first made queen. She was in fear. She was trying to keep herself safe. She was keeping herself down. She was hiding who she really was until she made that choice to say, there is something bigger and better that I am being called to do, and I choose to do that. I choose to step into that. So what is it that we are doing? Is there something that you, like the circumstances that you're already in this melting pot. You're already liquid glass because you have experienced trauma. You have inherited trauma. You are experiencing and having trauma all the time. You're having these opportunities to really dig deep and decide, who do I want to be? How do I want to show up? And then you can start to move forward with that. Now, these analogies are fun. I love the analogy. I loved it when I woke up and I was like, oh my gosh, God, I love that so much. I love the visual. I love the picture. Like, I love everything about this. But how do we actually implement this when we are in the middle of that survival mode, when we're in the middle of that trigger, when we're in the middle of that trauma where we're feeling like I'm stuck, I'm in prison, there is nowhere to go? I have felt that so much at times in my life where I just feel so stuck. I'm like, there is no win-win here. I am in bondage. I am stuck. I have no idea how to go from here to there. I know that I don't want to be here, but I don't know how to go from here to here in a way that honors me and helps me feel like I am doing what I'm supposed to be doing. This is where those inner work tools come in. So the main tool that I'm going to share with you today is my grace model. Now, a couple of months ago, I was really struggling with this. I wanted to know how to go from survival mode, that panic, the triggers, back into complete trust that God has got my back, just like Esther and just like Ruth show us. And that can be really hard. And I think it is a constant, continual process that we learn and we get better at. So as I was pondering this and just thinking, how do I find this step-by-step formula that's going to help me go from here to here and stay in alignment with who I want to be? And this is when this kind of came to me. It's called the GRACE model. GRACE is an acronym. G is for grounding, R is for recognize, A is for accept, C is for connect, and E is for embody. So the first thing you need to do if you are in survival mode or if you have been triggered, this is how you will feel. You will feel like a pounding in your chest. Your stomach will be in knots. You'll be really tight. You'll feel like you have a really hard time catching your breath. The smallest things are going to cause almost like a panic attack in your body, in your nervous system. And what this is signaling is that your body literally thinks that you are about to die. It is having the nervous, or it is having the reaction of somebody who is being chased by a bear. So what it's doing is it's shutting down any unnecessary actions in our body and in our mind, and it's only focusing on the ones that are going to keep you alive. It's going to heighten your sense of like your breathing. It's going to make your breathing higher, and it's going to give you that adrenaline rush so that you can outrun whatever predator your body thinks that you are going to try to outrun. A lot of times when we go into these panic modes, when we go into these survival modes, or when we get triggered, it's not actually something that's happening right this second. It's a memory of something that happened before. So if you had been made to feel really bad about, say, eating certain things, then you might have a trigger or a physical reaction when certain types of food, or when you see other people, or when you yourself eat something, you might have like a physical reaction. That's just an example. So it can be something that's happening right then, but it could also just be a memory of something that's happening, that had happened to you before. So the way that you get out of this, first, if you are in the middle of like a high conflict, abuse, physical interaction, You cannot do this when you are in the middle of that. You will need to get to a safe place. But if you are having a trigger because of something somebody said, or a memory that came up, or you have a fear of something happening, this is how you can get yourself out of survival mode and back into your body, is to ground yourself. You're going to put both of your feet on the ground. If you're laying in bed, or if you're not able to put your feet on the ground, focus on where your body is touching the outside world. Like right now, I could say, okay, well, I'm sitting in a chair. My back is against the backrest. My legs are in the chair. My feet are on the ground. You can feel what you're doing is you're pulling your awareness from outside of you back into your body, and you're connecting with your body. What is it we're doing? Where are we right now? How are we feeling? And then you'll take nice, calm, deep breaths. Instead of just breathing like that, you'll take 4 breaths in, hold it or take a breath in for 4 seconds, hold it for 2 seconds, and breathe out for 6 seconds. And you'll do it 3 times. And that also helps to calm down your respiratory system and just be like, all right, we're safe. Another thing that I like to do is I like to remind my mind, we are safe. In this moment, you are safe. There's a lot of things that come up that will trigger you, and you might recognize the trigger and know what it is, or other times you might just be like, why do I feel like I'm gonna die? Like, why am I having this attack? You need to remind yourself you are safe. The next thing you want to do is recognize the emotion that you're feeling. Are you feeling angry? Are you feeling sad? Are you feeling scared? Are you feeling tired? Are you feeling whatever? Fill in the blank. What is it you're feeling? And then the next step is to accept that feeling. Us as humans, our deepest desire is just to be accepted. We want to be accepted so bad. And unfortunately, we spend so much of our time trying to get acceptance from the things outside of us instead of accepting ourselves. What you really want when you're looking for acceptance from other people, you're really looking for acceptance from yourself. So the best thing that you can do for yourself in this moment is to recognize and to accept the feeling that you're feeling and not judge it. So say you're feeling sad. Instead of berating yourself for feeling sad, just accept it. Yeah, you feel sad. It's totally understandable why you would feel sad. Of course you feel sad. This and this happened. Anybody would feel sad in this moment. It's okay. I love you. I've got you. So reminding yourself that you have got your back. We want to be loved and we want to be accepted. But we can only accept love and acceptance from other people to the level that we love and accept ourselves. So if you are refusing to accept yourself, if you're refusing to acknowledge the things that you're feeling, and if you're constantly berating yourself, you cannot receive acceptance and love from other people because you have beat yourself up so badly that you don't feel like you're worth it. So the first thing that you need to do is really go back to yourself. It's the only thing you can control anyways. How you feel is the only thing that you can control. You can't control whether or not that person likes you. You don't get to control it. But you do get to control whether or not you like you. So start there. Start focusing on accepting, hey, I get it. Of course we're sad. Of course we're mad. Of course that, this is the emotion that we would be feeling. It's 100% acceptable. It's okay to be mad. Or it's okay to feel angry that this happened. Whatever the circumstance is, just let yourself feel it. It's not wrong. And you trying not to feel a feeling is not going to make the feeling go away. You trying not to feel a feeling is only going to make the feeling dig deeper. And it's going to make it stay longer. So the quicker you can just feel your feelings and be like, ooh, I feel that. I feel that one. Feel the feelings and acknowledge them, and they will move along. I promise you, they will move along a lot faster than you think they will. So the next step is to connect. I love this one because this is really where you get to decide, am I willing to let the master creator mold me into something amazing? This is where you get to decide. You get to connect with God and say, all right, who do you want me to be in this situation? Who do I want to be in this situation? And then you get to move from a space of knowing that you are on your way to becoming this better, higher version of yourself. When you are able to connect with God and really know that He has got your back, He loves you, He is going to take control, or He's going to take everything that is out of your control off of your shoulders, and you can just focus on, who do I want to be? That is so relieving. When you're in the trigger, you're thinking that you have to fix everything. And that's overwhelming, and that's hard, and that's heavy, and that's scary. But when you can finally get to this point where you're like, okay, who do I want to be? How do I want to show up? And what is that going to look like? You start to see a path. Esther had no idea what she was supposed to do when Mordecai first came to her and said, you need to go tell the king that you need to go ask the king to save our people. She was in panic. She was like, I don't know how to do that. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. But when she went through this, and you know that she did, because she gets to this point where she is able to say, I will do whatever you want me to do because I want to show up as my higher version. I am willing to be the person that you want me to be, because ultimately the person that you want me to be is the same person that I want to be. We were created to be completely different people, to become completely different people. We were created to grow and to progress. Just like the glass beads, their creation purpose was so that they could be melted down and created into an incredible glass sculpture. That is us. We were not meant to stay in this fearful state. We were meant to grow. We were meant to step into our power, into our radiance, into our complete divine godhood. We are beings of God. We are His children. Therefore, we have access to His power to become who He wants us to be. And who He wants us to be ultimately is who when we first came to earth, we knew that there was something more. That is why when people stop learning and growing, depression rates go up. It is actually proven, they have research out there, that people who are in school, people who are actively learning things, have much lower depression rates than those people who quit learning and quit progressing, because it is in our DNA makeup. It is in our very soul, in our essence. We were meant to always be growing, always allowing that master creator to add new embellishments, to add new things to who we can become. So then that's what we need to do in that step. We need to be connecting to, who does God want us to be and who do we want to be? And then asking that question, what is my job and what is God's job? Because we spend so much time trying to take over His job, trying to control the things that we have no control of anyways. So going back to, this is my job. This is the only thing I can control. Ruth, the only thing she could control was her desire to go with Naomi, her desire to take care of Naomi. That was the only thing she could control. She couldn't control how the people were going to react to her. She couldn't control what was going to happen. She couldn't control what man was going to be attracted to her. She couldn't control any of that. She just focused on what was her job. And the same thing with Esther. She couldn't control whether or not she was going to be safe. She couldn't control whether or not the king was going to condemn her for coming to him without being summoned. She could only control what she felt like she needed to do. And both of these women, both of them sunk into themselves and said, who do I want to be on the other side of this? And they both wanted to be women who courageously followed their feelings, courageously followed what they felt like they should do. And in the end, they both became the magnificent queens that they were always meant to be. And that is our blessing. That is our right. That is our gift. These stories aren't just stories. They're pathways, they're blueprints for how we get to show up and what happens in our life when we do. It's fantastic. The last step is to embody, is to actually embrace and show up in that way that you have decided to. One wonderful thing about this world and the experiences that we're having is every time you decide to grow or to become a different person, you have opportunities to solidify that desire. So if you decide, all right, I'm going to show up as this better, higher version of myself, you can be guaranteed that the universe is going to test you to see if you truly desire that and if you are willing to stick with it. So go into yourself continuously, do the grace model, and continue to end up with the embodiment of, yes, this is who I want to show up as. When you do this consistently, I promise you, I can guarantee that you will grow and progress, and the things that used to trigger you won't trigger you at all. They will not hold the power over you that they used to. So I used to think that I was keeping myself safe by hiding and by conforming to the things that other people wanted. When I started to go on this inner journey, when I started to embrace the feminine energy that I've been given, when I started to embrace this higher level of myself that I was being called to be, I was a little bit at first afraid of, oh, well, the higher version of me is going to be always super nice and, oh, whatever you want. And I will always have to conform to what other people want, or all of my needs will have to go last. And to be considered a nice person, you must sacrifice yourself, right? Let me tell you, that is not true. God did not create his daughters to be doormats to weak men and to weak people. He did not. So when you embrace your feminine energy, when you embrace that higher level of yourself, you are not a doormat. You start to command respect. You start to command attention, not by demanding it, but by embodying it. Like, you can't help it. You can't help that you no longer accept lower actions from people. You can't help that you no longer find yourself attracted to people that don't resonate with you. You can't help the fact that you say no to things that you should say no to. It just starts to come naturally. So when you embrace that higher level of yourself, when you embrace that feminine energy, you start to show up with so much power in yourself, so much ability to say, no, we're not going to do that. Or no, I don't accept that type of behavior. Or you just generally walk away from a relationship because it no longer has any value or any appeal to you. God created his women to be helpmates and to be companions and to be equal partners to powerful, great men. Weak women in their broken, in their damaged, in their wounded feminine energy, they cannot access that higher level of themselves. So it is imperative that you heal that feminine energy, that you embrace the woman that you were created to be, because that starts to put you in it gives you so much perspective. It lets you see the things that are for you, and it lets you start to recognize the things that are not aligning with you. You start to get an ick from people and from certain circumstances or situations where you're like, I will never be attracted to this type of behavior ever again. And it's not because you're mean, and it's not because you're bratty, and it's not because you think you're better than anybody else. It's because you've gotten to the point where you know who you are, you know your divine worth, and you know that you were created to be something more than a doormat. And you no longer resonate, vibrate, attract any of the things that are beneath you. Just like Esther, when she stepped into her magnificence, the king also changed. Whereas he had ultimate power and was very whiny about whether or not his other wife obeyed him, when Esther stepped into her magnificence, he could see it, and it's almost like he couldn't help himself but to become that man that was like, let's rule together. You can have half of my kingdom and we will do this together. How cool is that? There are so many instances in the scriptures, and you can see it just in daily living, how when you embrace your divinity, the people around you can't help but see you as that way. And if they can't see you that way, they fall off. They're no longer even worth having in your circle. So let yourself see the progression of you. You started out as these glass beads. Through circumstances you don't get to control, you have been melted down. Who do you want to become? Do you want to be the piece of glass that when it's shaped and formed, it just breaks and cracks and never becomes anything and becomes this worthless piece of rubble? Or do you want to become the incredible masterpiece that the artist is trying to create? You get to decide. And it comes from how you choose to see the circumstances that you're in. Everything is your choice. It doesn't matter what you've been through. It doesn't matter the circumstances that you have come from. It doesn't matter. All of those things are there to give you better perspective, to give you an opportunity to have better understanding and empathy and growth for other people as well as yourself. Everything happens exactly the way it's supposed to. We know that because it happened. And we know that every experience that we have has the potential to be for our good. We get to decide. I am so grateful for the opportunities that I have been given to experience the things that I have experienced. Have they been fun? No, they have not been fun. Have they been painful? Have I cried and sobbed and been broken because of it? Yes, I have. I have been broken down to parts that I didn't even know I could be broken. And it has hurt at levels that I didn't even know it could hurt. But at the same time, when I started to take accountability for who I wanted to be and how I wanted to show up, I didn't know that I had the power that I had. And I'm barely tapping my toe in the surface right now. I know that there is so much potential and so many blessings in my life coming because I am choosing to align with God, because I'm choosing to let Him take control of what is His, and I'm choosing to take control of what is mine. I am choosing to put my crown back on and to stop playing around with life and stop pretending that I belong in a place that I was never meant to be, that I am for so much more. And when I continue to move myself up, continue to ask myself, who do I want to be in this situation? How do I want to show up? That when I ask those questions, instead of ruminating and staying in, why is this happening? I wish this wasn't happening. When you move and you elevate your mind, you're opening the doors for God to say, this. I want you to act like this. I want you to say this. I want you to do this. God will never lead you to abuse. He will never lead you to pain. He will always lead you to peace and to your highest self. But just like the beautiful vase, even after it is formed and even after it has some embellishments, the Creator continues to keep it put in the fire, continue to keep it heated up so He can continue to build on it. So trust that, yes, things are going to hurt. This is the mortal life that we live. We will feel pain. That does not mean that that pain must define us. It is our choices that define us more than the circumstances. And you are in control of your choices 100%. I love you. I am so grateful that you're here. I'm so grateful that you've had the opportunity to be here, to listen, that I've had the opportunity to share. I love what I do. I love sharing, and I love teaching women. If you want to work with me personally, if you feel like you're stuck and if you feel like there's so much more that you can do, please reach out. I have links down below that you can schedule one-on-one appointments with me. I am here for it. I'm here to help you. I love you. I know that you were created for something bigger and something better. We just have to let go of that control. And I'm here to help you if you need it. I love you, and I will talk to you later.